What's up, guys? So, the WWE Elimination Chamber 2021 is coming up this Sunday night, February 21st, 2021. This pay-per-view will actually be the final WWE pay-per-view on the WWE Network. Because obviously, starting on March 18th, the WWE Network will officially be moving over to Peacock. So, this will mark the last pay-per-view that the WWE will ever have on its original WWE Network station. But again, because we pretty much have the full match card, I don't see no other matches happening on the show. But if they do happen, I'll talk about them. But we have 5 matches that are happening on the card. One that might not even take place. As I'm reading this on Wikipedia, Asuka will be defending her Raw Women's Championship versus to be announced. So, Asuka was supposed to defend her Raw Women's Championship at the Elimination Chamber against Lacey Evans. Now, we found out this past week on Raw that Lacey Evans will not be competing. As a matter of fact, she will be taking time off because it was announced this past week on Monday Night Raw that Lacey Evans is pregnant. And no, for everyone still getting crazy over it, it's not a storyline. It's legit. Lacey Evans is legit pregnant, and she legit has to take time off. And that was their way of riding Lacey Evans off of TV so she can, go and have her baby. But it still says here on Wikipedia that Asuka will still be defending the championship. We just don't know who. It could be anybody. Either way, I think Asuka's still gonna win. I think, you have Asuka and Charlotte for Mania and have Charlotte, beat Asuka since, the feud with Ric Flair, Charlotte, and Lacey, that shit needs to end. There's no reason why that feud should continue whatsoever. All right, so we have the triple threat match for the WWE United States Championship. Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee versus Riddle. Speaking of Bobby Lashley with MVP, so MVP is actually injured right now. That's why he hasn't really been wrestling, because he's been saying that he can only wrestle with one good leg, so he hasn't been wrestling. But, he's still able to show up because he's not just a wrestler. We've seen it. He's a manager of the Hurt Business and of Bobby Lashley. So it's cool that he can still appear on TV. He just can't wrestle on TV. So now with this match, I think Keith Lee wins this match. And before you come at me or you get in the comment section, be like, DC, what the fuck are you thinking about, man? Lashley needs to win. Lashley is being built like a monster. He needs to go over. I will explain after I am done with the Elimination Chamber match. I will explain why Lashley needs to win. Why Keith Lee needs to win. But most importantly, why Lashley needs to drop the United States Championship at the Elimination Chamber. And speaking of the Elimination Chamber, we have the Elimination Chamber match. This is probably going to open up the show. For the WWE Championship. Well, one of those Elimination Chambers might open up the show. But either way, we have 2 Elimination Chambers match. One for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton versus Sheamus versus Kofi Kingston, because Kofi Kingston won this past week because, again, we saw The Miz was like, I'm Money in the Bank, I don't need to be in this match. Speaking of Kofi, let me say this about Kofi. Kofi's not going to win, all right? We're not going to see Kofi Mania 2. We're not going to see that. Ali's most likely going to come in, attack Kofi, cost him the match, and set up Ali versus Kofi at Mania, which makes perfect sense. Randy's not going to win. He's most likely going to face The Fiend at Mania. I wouldn't be surprised if The Fiend actually shows up and costs Randy the match. Hardy, man, they ain't going to really do nothing with Hardy. AJ, I don't know what they're going to do with AJ. And Sheamus, I think what's going to happen here, and this is getting back to what I said about Bobby Lashley. This is where Bobby Lashley comes in. So we still have one more pay-per-view before WrestleMania, and that's Fastlane. This is what I think, they should do. Have Drew McIntyre take on Sheamus, because I think Drew is going to win here. So you have Drew win, and then Sheamus can come out and be like, oh, that was a fluke, you didn't actually win, I won, or he can also come out and say, well, we still need to face each other one-on-one. So at Fastlane, you have McIntyre versus Sheamus. At Fastlane, Drew beat Sheamus, and then you get Lashley versus McIntyre for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, and Lashley wins. And I know you're thinking, well, DC, Lashley and McIntyre already fought at Backlash this past June. Why do they need to face each other again? Because, do you really think, because let's be real, they haven't really put a lot of eggs in the Sheamus these past few weeks, months even. Do you really think McIntyre and Sheamus feels like a WrestleMania potential night one or one of these nights main event? Does that really seem like a main event to you? Especially with how they've been booking with Sheamus? It makes more sense with Lashley because these past few weeks they've been building Lashley up as just a badass to the point where even MVP's like, yo, bro, like, calm down a little bit. It only makes sense you do McIntyre versus Lashley because it just seems like Lashley would seem more fitting. That's why Lashley needs to lose the U.S. Championship because think about it. Riddle gets pinned, Lashley loses the title, but he's still protected. That way he can go on with the WWE Championship and win the WWE Championship without having to hold the United States Championship at a great time. I think this triple threat match, again, is a great way to put the title off Lashley. But then again, back to the Elimination Chamber match, McIntyre wins, and McIntyre, like I said, McIntyre needs to walk in as champion at Mania. All right, so we have the second Elimination Chamber match. Now, this Elimination Chamber match will be a number one contenders match to see who will be facing the champion later on that night. We have Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens versus King Corbin versus Sami Zayn versus Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan. All right. So, let's see here. Well, Corbin's obviously not going to win. Zayn is not going to win. Owens had his feud. I can see why, but Owens had his feud with Reigns. It's over. It's done with. They faced each other 3 times. The story is over with. Uso, maybe, but then again, Uso's a heel, so he'll probably just lay down for Roman. When it comes between Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, I don't know, man. I'm torn between Cesaro and Bryan here. Like, it would be cool to see Cesaro get his moment, but at the same time, Daniel Bryan would feel good because, again, after WrestleMania, Daniel's, he's not gonna. I don't know. I'm really torn between these two. If I had to pick one, I'll say fuck it. Give me. Fuck. Maybe, you know what? If it's Cesaro, it's Cesaro. If it's Daniel Bryan, it's Daniel Bryan. But I'm going to predict here and say Daniel Bryan wins. Sorry, Cesaro fans, but I just think Daniel Bryan wins. You get Bryan versus Reigns, and, Reigns, obviously wins. And if they go with Cesaro, then fine, so be it. But I just think Daniel Bryan will probably be the odd favorite to win that match. Roman Reigns versus, most likely, in my opinion, again, Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns wins, obviously. Maybe Edge comes out, he attacks Roman Reigns, and he's like, hey, I want you. I'm coming for you, Roman. I'm coming for you. So, yeah. So those are my Elimination Chamber predictions. That was the video I made today. I said in my last video, what should I put out the next video? One of you guys in the comment section suggested 2 videos I make. 1, how to reconstruct Raw, and 2, top 10 AEW versus New Japan Dream matches. So I'm actually considering doing, those 2. It's just one of those days. Thursday, I might do the top 10 AEW versus New Japan Dream matches. And then Friday, I might just do a double upload with how to reconstruct Raw. And then later on that night being the SmackDown review. So, again, it's all in timing and, prepping up and just seeing, you know, because I have life, I have school and everything. So, you know, just got to consider and how I'm going to put the video together, because there are some dream matches that I do want to see happen with AEW New Japan. So I'll try to get that video out tomorrow if I can. If I can't, then I can't. But, you know, we'll have to see what happens. Again, anything could happen over here at the DC Wrestling YouTube channel. But anyway, guys, who do you think's gonna walk out? Who do you think's gonna be the winners and the losers of WWE Elimination Chamber? If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. You know, and just subscribe to the channel. And yeah.